Hi everyone, I'm going to show you the graphs of different types of price elasticity of demand now. So starting with the first good, elastic good. So I hope you all remember that elastic good is when we see the PD is greater than 1, right? So what this means is that if the price, let's say it increases from P to P prime E, there is a substantial quantity reduction due to this price change. So the QE declines to QF. So what's happening here is, let's say if PED was to 1.5, then for 1% increase in price, the quantity demand will fall by 1.5%. So here people are more responsive. People responds to the change in price. However, when we are dealing with the case of inelastic, that change in quantity demand due to the price hike is actually minimal. Like it's not as, I mean, the change is not as large as what we saw when we were dealing with elastic wood. So if you see the PE here changes from the price changes from PE to P prime E, and this induces a quantity reduction, which is from QG to QH. So this is a very minimal quantity reduction. So for this, for the case of inelastic goods, PD is actually less than 1. How to interpret this? If price goes up by 1%, then the quantity demand would fall by less than 1%. So if PED is, let's say PED is 0.5, then QD actually falls by 0.5% due to a change in price of 1%. So pizzas, it is reasonable to assume that pizzas are elastic goods, whereas we can say that medicines have sort of inelastic demand curve, because you see, just imagine the change here is the same, right? But you can ask yourself whether people would respond to the changes in the same way. That is, if you have to let's say cut your consumption, or in other words reduce your quantity demand, which one would be greater? Like, do you think that you would stop buying medicines, or you would rather probably reduce the number of pizzas you buy in a month, let's say? So you can ask yourself these sort of questions and figure this out. So medicines, which is a necessary good, right? Even if often you will see that the price of medicines fluctuate, the prices do fluctuate, but however you see that people don't stop buying medicine, because I mean, you need medicines for your health. Now, another two types would be perfectly elastic demand curve. Perfectly elastic demand curve. This is when we say PD is actually infinite. What it signifies is that even with slightest change in price, people respond to the change, and they just stop buying that good. Like they do not have any sort of quantity demand, even if the price changes slightly. So you can see here that this is the flat line. So this is, even if you like, let's say P moves to P prime here, there is no uh, quantity demand, right? So usually a good example would be any sort of luxury goods, like often you'll see that probably you, if the price changes, then you tell yourself, no, I don't want that. So that is, you can say luxury goods are probably good examples of perfectly elastic goods. On the other hand, if here you will see a case of perfectly inelastic good. So perfectly inelastic good is when no matter whether the price, like, doesn't matter whether the price increases or decreases, how it fluctuates, it doesn't matter, the quantity demand would remain unchanged. Here you see that quantity demand is at QF and it would stay there. A good example probably would be vintage paintings. Vintage paintings like Mona Lisa's painting. So doesn't matter whether the price of that painting is high or like low today, the quantity demand would remain the same. So this is a perfectly inelastic demand curve. So try to come up with your own set of goods that you think fit the concepts of perfectly elastic and perfectly inelastic.